So as we're dividing fractions today, we want to make sure that we're following some steps. When Ms. Neville tells us to flip the second fraction, the mathematical way to think of that is to find its reciprocal. Find the reciprocal. That may be a new word to some of you, but I hope it isn't. So we want to flip that second fraction by finding the reciprocal. So when I talk about flipping it, that means the denominator will now become the numerator, and the numerator will now become our denominator. So let's do that. And then our second step, you want to make sure you're writing down these steps, please. Our second step is to multiply the two fractions. Just like we did yesterday. So remember, when we're multiplying fractions, we multiply numerator by numerator. We multiply denominator by denominator. And then our last step, step 3, is going to be to simplify the answer. Excuse me. You want to simplify the quotient. And we want to remember a quotient is a answer to a division problem. So I'll write these steps down first, and then we're going to work to put these steps into action with our first dividing fractions problem. Go ahead and finish writing this down. Ms. Neville's going to erase step 1. Remember, this lesson is being recorded, so if I go too fast for you in anything, as soon as I finish recording this lesson, as soon as our class ends today, this lesson will pop up on your Schoology in the correct folder. So step 1, we needed to flip the second fraction or find its reciprocal. Step 2, we want to now multiply these two fractions. Feel free to go ahead of me if you'd like. So when we're multiplying those two fractions, we want to remember that we are just multiplying straight across. Numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator. Okay? So 1 times 7 is 7. And someone tell us what's 2 times 4.
You mean 2 times 2?
2 times 2, yeah. Thank you, Jalen. 4. Yep. So now this is called a blank fraction. What do we call a fraction where the numerator is larger than the denominator?
Improper fraction.
Very good. So we're looking at our improper fraction here. And we need to change this. This is our step 3. We're either going to simplify this fraction or change it to a mixed number. So remember, when we're changing this to a mixed number, we're going to say that, change to mixed number. When we're changing it to a mixed number, it affords us the ability to look at how many wholes and how many parts there are. So when we change this to a mixed number, remember, we're going to set this up as a long division problem. We're going to put 4 on the outside of the house and 7 on the inside of our division house, and follow our steps for long division. How many times will 4 fit into 7?
1.
1 time. 4 times 1 is?
4.
4. So then I'm going to subtract, and I have 3 left over as my remainder. There's a tutorial in the Schoology folder that shows you how to change an improper fraction to a mixed number. So what you see here is that tutorial is going to tell you that 7 minus 4 is 3. So 3 is now my new numerator, and the 4, which was my divisor, is now my denominator, and my quotient, 1, is my whole number. So the answer to this question should have been 1 3/4. 1 3/4. There's a lot of steps to dividing and multiplying fractions. And I feel like you're going to hear that in my tutoring session today. I feel like that's where some of us may be getting lost because there's so many steps that we have to memorize. Remember, write those steps down. They don't change. Write those steps down so that you're prepared to go on. Okay? Let's do another example with a really simple one. I'll erase the green in a second. Our second example for dividing fractions, example B, 3/4 divided by 1/7. Look at your steps that we just wrote down. What's my first thing I need to do here?
Flip 1/7.
Flip, yep. And so that means I'm finding my Someone finish that sentence for me.
Finding your
Receptacle?
remainder.
Yeah, I'm finding my reciprocal, Orlando, not my remainder, my reciprocal. So when I flip this, I'm going to find my reciprocal. Okay. So now if I rewrite this, I'm now working with the fractions 3/4 and 7/1, or 7/1. And what's my second step?
Multiply.
Multiply. So I'm going to multiply straight across. 3 times 7 is what?
21.
And
21.
4 times 1 is 4. Very good. I love how you chime in for us, Josiah. Okay, so now, am I done?
No.
What must I do last or next?
Simplify
Fraction.
Yep, I can simplify this, but this is an improper fraction, so I need to change it to a
Mixed number.
mixed number. So let's change this to a mixed number, and this is just going to happen by us doing some long division. I'm going to put my denominator on the outside of my division house and my numerator on the inside of my division house. 4 times what number will come closest to equaling 21 without going over?
5.
5. 5, not 4, 5. So 4 times 5 is what, guys?
20.
20.
20.
I'm then going to subtract. 1 becomes, that remainder of 1 becomes my numerator. The 4 from my divisor is my new denominator. And the 5, which was my quotient, is the new whole number here. So the answer to this question would be 5 1/4. The answer to our question for question, or our problem for question B, would be 5 1/4. So let's talk about, I'm going to write this down for us, give you a second to write it down, and then we'll keep it moving. So let's talk about what we're really doing when we're dividing fractions. I'll give you a second to finish writing this down if you haven't finished. All right, let's keep going. So when we're talking about dividing fractions, I want you to take some time to write down both of these problems. What are we actually asking when we're being asked to divide fractions? What do they really want to know? What really we want to know here, let's look at problem A, 4 divided by 1/3. We're really asking how many thirds are in 4. So if I have 4 whole cookies, how many thirds can I break that are in 4 whole cookies? Okay, so the answer that we're going to get is going to be a whole number because all we're doing is counting how many thirds there are here. So when we're asking that question, and I want to make sure you draw the picture as well, when we ask the question, how many thirds are in 4, that's the question we're actually answering with 4 divided by 1/3. So if we were to do this the simpler way that you probably learned how to do in 4th or 5th grade, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, the answer here would be 12. There are 12 thirds in 4 whole cookies. Okay? But it won't always be this simple. We won't always be dealing with such small numbers as 4. Sometimes those numbers will be larger. So that's when following steps comes into play. So when we're dividing, okay, steps for dividing a fraction by a whole number that's what I'd like you to write down next after we write down problems A and B, and I'll give you some time to get that written down. We want to know there are steps to doing this, and the steps are very similar to what we followed when we multiplied a fraction by a whole number, which is also recorded in the folder. Steps for dividing a fraction by a whole number. Step 1. We have to make the whole number a fraction. Write it up here. Sorry, y'all. We want to make that whole number a fraction. So when we make that whole number a fraction, it's important for us to realize that all whole numbers can become fractions very easily. Yes, all whole numbers can be put over 1 to be made into a fraction. So step 1 is to make a whole number a fraction. Remember, this lesson is being recorded. So if Miss Neville goes too fast or erases something before you have time to write it down, you're going to be able to just skip some lines and you'll be able to come back and get it. So step 2, after we've made that fraction a whole number, that whole number a fraction, what we're going to do is now follow the same steps that we did just a moment ago. Now we have to find the reciprocal. So step 2, find the reciprocal. In other words, what am I saying here, y'all? When I say find the reciprocal, what am I really saying?
Flip
the fraction.
Flip that second fraction. So 1/3 now becomes 3/1. Okay? In step 3, multiply those two fractions. So when I multiply 4 times 3, I get 12. And 1 times 1 is 1. So my answer is 12 here. Take some time and finish writing this down, writing down your steps. And then for any of my fast flyers who feel like they've got their wings a little bit, I want you to try B, okay? You can solve it by counting the parts first, but then I want you to show your work. Remember, we have to be able to use these steps when Miss Neville's not sitting in front of us anymore. Okay, Miss Neville's now going to erase this, and let's get busy with B. Remember, counting the shaded parts won't always be this easy because our whole numbers won't always be 4 or 5 or 6. Okay, sometimes those numbers will be larger. I'd say most of the time those numbers will be larger. So we can count it quickly to see. Okay, and because I know my multiples of 4, I've got 5 brownies here, and they've all been divided into chunks of 4s. So 1, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So there are 24ths. I can break those brownies into 24ths. That's how many fourths there are in 5. Let's prove our answer. Step 1, what's my step 1 when dividing with a multiple, with a fraction and a whole number?
Make a whole number a fraction.
Very good, Emily. Thank you. We're going to make that whole number a fraction. Step 2.
Find the reciprocal.
Very good. We're going to find the reciprocal. We remember we're just flipping that second fraction. Step 3.
Multiply your fractions.
Multiply straight across. 5 times 4 is
20.
20. And 1 times 1 is
1.
1. So my answer is correct here. But I'm not done with you yet. Let's keep practicing today, because today we have to do some dividing with mixed.
You're cutting out, Miss Neville.
You're muted.
And you're glitching and you're paused.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Our internet at the school is crazy. So is everybody back with me?
Yep. Yeah, I can see you in here. Yep.
Can you see my screen?
Yes. Yep.
Good.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yep. Yep.
All right. Sorry about the glitch, y'all. Okay, so let's do some more dividing fractions practice. So you see here that we're going to be dividing. You see here that we're going to be dividing fractions by mixed numbers. And the only thing that's going to change here, we're going to write down our steps so that we have them. Okay, the only thing that's going to change here is we first have to change that mixed number to an improper fraction. Okay, so steps for dividing mixed numbers by improper fractions, or actually not even improper fractions, y'all, let's cross that part out. Just dividing mixed numbers by fractions. Dividing mixed numbers by fractions. So when we're doing this, we want to remember step one, we have to change our mixed number to an improper fraction. So let's go ahead and get that done. I'm going to erase the steps title. Please make sure you mute yourself. Thank you. Okay. So let's go ahead and get to work with A. Let's get to work with A. So the first thing we need to do is change this mixed number to an improper fraction. Remember, there's a tutorial on this in our fraction folder. To change a mixed number to an improper fraction, we're going to multiply the denominator by the whole number and then add the numerator to that product. In other words, 3 times 4 plus 1 is, what's 3 times 4?
12.
Plus 1?
13.
So 13 is our new, thank you. 13 is our new numerator and 3 is our denominator. So now, step 2. Now, with step 2, we actually have to do it with both of them, don't we? Yes. What is 1 times 3?
3.
3.
Plus 1?
4.
4.
4. So 4 is our new numerator, and we bring that 3 here as our denominator. So now we've changed, that's just step 1. We change our mixed numbers to improper fractions. We change our mixed numbers to improper fractions. Step 2. What do you think I would do next?
Multiply.
Not yet. We got to flip something.
Flip the 3 over 4.
Yeah. Step 2 is to find the reciprocal. Guys, are we flipping both fractions or just one?
Just 1.
1.
Just one. And it's always going to be that second flat fraction that we're flipping. So find the reciprocal for the second fraction. Jeez Louise and Miss Neville. Handwriting is atrocious. Okay. So we're going to find the reciprocal for that second fraction. So now, my problem should read 13 thirds, 3/4. Remember, I flipped it. What am I going to do third? What operation will I perform?
Multiplication.
Multiplication. Step 3, multiply the two fractions. Multiply the two fractions. Multiply the fractions. Remember, numerator multiplied by numerator, denominator multiplied by denominator. So let's do that. What is 13 times 3? Remember, we're not using a calculator. If you were sitting in my classroom, I could watch you, but resist the urge to use a calculator, guys. 13 times 3 is going to be what?
36.
39. 13 times 3 is 39. Okay. And 3 times 4?
12.
12. Am I done?
No, you gotta
No.
simplify.
You gotta
Yep, so
make it
step
a
4 is going to be to either simplify or change to a mixed number. So remember, we do that by performing some long division. I'm going to erase step 3. Hopefully you've got that one written down already. If not, you're going to skip a line so that you can go back and watch the video to get it. We want to remember our 12, our denominator, is going to go on the outside of the house. The 39, my numerator, will become my dividend. And now I need to ask myself, myself said, 12 times what will come closest to equaling 39 without going over?
3.
Yep. And what is 12 times 3?
36.
Very good. So when we're looking, we're going to write our 3 up here. 12 times 3 is 36. We're going to subtract. So now, our 3 here is our quotient. The 3 that was our remainder is our numerator, and our 12 is our denominator. We've got another step here, guys. Is this fraction simplified? No. Good guess, Em. Yes, Emily. No, it's not simplified. We've got to find the greatest common factor between 3 and 12. There's a lot of steps here, guys. That's what makes these fractions difficult, or they look difficult, okay? And the greatest common factor between 3 and 12, 3 is a prime number, so it only has 2 factors, is 3. So 3 times what will equal 3, guys?
1.
And 3 times what will equal 12?
4.
4.
So my new answer here, after all of our steps, is 3 1/4. That's a lot, I agree. Okay, but we're going to get some more practice in. Okay, is there any questions that I can answer? How did you get this number? Where did this number come from? This is the time to ask it. Take some time, and I want you to start working on B by yourself before we do it together. Start working on B by yourself before we start working together. Look at those steps that we've written down. Take some time. This one should be a little bit easier because you're only changing one of these mixed numbers to an improper fraction. 5 and 5/6 divided by 2/3. So what's our step 1?
Make the whole number a fraction.
Yeah, we're going to make that mixed number into an improper fraction. Remember, we multiply the denominator and whole number and then add the numerator. What is 6 times 5?
30.
Uh-oh. And what is 30 plus 5?
35.
35.
Very good. And so we're going to just carry this 6 as the denominator over to our new improper fraction. And now it's asking us to divide 35/6 over 2/3. I mean, divide it by 2/3. What's my second step?
Find the reciprocal.
Very good. Find that reciprocal. And so what does that basically mean? Jalen, what does it mean to find the reciprocal?
What was the question?
What does it mean to find the reciprocal?
To flip the fraction.
That second fraction. So now we've got 3 over 2, 3 halves. And so now our third step is to multiply. And we're going to be multiplying 35 times 3. Resist the urge to use a calculator. 35 times 3. 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9. Plus 1 is 10. 105 over, and what is 6 times 2?
12.
12. Okay. So, am I finished?
No.
What do I have to do now?
Simplify.
Simplify it or make it a
Mixed number.
very good. So let's go ahead and do that. Remember, we have to just do some long division here. Our denominator 12 becomes our divisor. Our numerator 105 becomes our dividend. How many times 12 times what will come closest to equaling 105 without going over?
9.
What is 12 times 9? Take some time and look at your 9 times tables. What is 12 times 9?
It's 108.
So that's too big. So if 9 doesn't work, what number could I try?
8.
8. And what is 12 times 8?
96.
96. I'm going to subtract, carry, okay? So my remainder here would be 9. And I'm going to bring my denominator over from my divisor. I bring that right over. Am I done?
No.
Correct. Does 9 and 12 have any common factors?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the common factor?
3.
3. 3 times what will equal 9?
3.
And 3 times what will equal 12?
4.
4. So my overall answer here would be 8 and 3/4. 8 and 3/4. All right, so let's take some time to look at what your independent practice will be today.